Okay, that share page. Okay, Romanian. Okay, we're going live. All right. Hi, everyone. Good morning and good afternoon in Chicago and on the East Coast. My name is Otilia Baraboy. I am the co-founder with Ileana, my colleague here, and also the executive director of the American-Romanian Cultural Society based in Seattle. We're thrilled to continue our series of workshops dedicated to the Romanian-American youth with our partners, Romanian United Fund, and Mihai Lehene will introduce himself here, and Dan also Nicolae, they represent the Romanian United Fund, and also Alianța from Washington, D.C. Today, we will hear from specialists and also parents. They are here today in a double capacity. They all had students, young students going through the process, but they also know what is expected from college students, from potential college students when they apply to colleges. You know, what makes a strong college application, we'll hear today. Before addressing a few questions to our guests, and then we'll accept questions from the audience, I will ask Mihai to say a few words about himself.
Thank you so much, Otilia. Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with you, and I'm here to represent, first of all, Romanian United Fund as the president of the organization. However, this is a very important topic for me personally because I have a daughter who's going through high school right now, and I'm looking forward to learning from our guests some advice. How are we going to cope with this, challenging time? And this is very welcome for me, and I guess for a lot of my friends who are listening, this is something that we're all looking forward to learn from you today. So thank you so much for being here. And without further ado, I'd say let's introduce our guests.
All right, Ileana, would you like to go first? Introduce yourself.
Sure. I'm Ileana Marin, and I've been teaching interdisciplinary courses at the University of Washington in Seattle. I am here in double capacity as a parent who went through the process successfully with my son years ago, and also as a volunteer reader for the UW Honors Program. For almost 10 years, I've been reading college applications for this program, and I've learned what's expected from the other side, not only as a parent when I went through the process alongside my son. What I'd like to add, and Otilia already prefaced, that I am a co-founder with her of ARCS, and also in this capacity, I am a Romanian language instructor for ARCS, and I have taught for probably 5-6 years, Otilia, the course preparing students to take the ALTA exam. And here I'd like to add a few words for those of you who are interested in getting from 2 to 4 credits for your Romanian language acquisition. The ALTA exam allows you to take and to have recognized your heritage language in your high school transcript. So if your score is high enough to get 2 credits, that's wonderful. That means that you have another foreign language attached to your transcript, high school transcript. If your score is higher, you may have as many as 4 credits on your high school transcript, which shows universities that you are invested in learning more, and you are also engaged in providing to the American diverse community. because credits in a Romanian or any other heritage language means these two things: participated or valuing your heritage, participating in a larger diversity society, and also being interested in bettering your learning skills. This is me. Looking forward to your questions and to share with you my experience as a reader and as a parent.
That was, I'm really looking forward to your insight, Ileana, especially since you have been volunteering for so long. I think you're going to have a special set of questions. Let's introduce Dan Nicolae. Dan Nicolae is joining us from Chicago. He's a University of Chicago professor and correct me if I'm wrong, Dan, Dean of the, explain me exactly, Dean of the Statistics Department. You were always correcting me on this.
Okay, so thank you, Mihai, and thank you, for Otilia, for inviting me, and hello, everyone. So my name is Dan Nicolae. So first, I'm the Vice President of the Romanian United Fund. I should start with that. And I'm also a Professor of Statistics at University of Chicago, where I'm also the Chair of the Department of Statistics. And I also have appointments in the Department of Human Genetics and in the Department of Medicine. And my research and my teaching is a combination of statistics, applied mathematics, data science, and machine learning, and genetics. I'm originally from Craiova, and I studied mathematics in Romania, and then I came for my graduate studies, and I've been at the University of Chicago since 1999. And more importantly than this, I have two daughters. One is a junior in college, and one is a freshman in college. So I went through this process last year.
I think this is a good time for you. I've seen all the photos, and I think it's amazing. I'm really looking forward to that feeling that you've shared with us. So I believe we're going to have you're going to have some fresh insight about this process.
Thank you, everyone. And I've been posting links, about everything that our guests touch upon. So, our websites, information about the Global Seal of Literacy, and other information as it comes up. Romanian United Fund, if you want to check these out, check our activity. The first question that I have, and then we'll alternate with Mihai, will kind of moderate, and here we're looking forward to hearing your questions as well. So Ileana and Dan, what makes a strong college application? Actually, what are you looking for? What skills and academic results are you looking for when you go through the process?
Okay, maybe I can start. So for the Romanian parents who haven't been through this process, it's important to know that there are two parts of an application process. There are the numerical measures, which are very similar to admissions at university in Romania. We're talking about the grades in school, the GPA. For some schools, there is a class rank, and then there are the standardized test scores. And those are pretty clear and pretty obvious. They're quantitative, so you can tell where you stand. But then there are the less tangible parts of the application, the extracurricular activities, the essays that you have to write for the common application and for specific colleges, and the letters of recommendations. So, while it's easy to understand and quantify the numerical measures, the college admission boards, when they look at the other parts, they try to look for various skills, right? So, I'll mention some, and then maybe Ileana can mention some other. They look for leadership. They look for commitment. They look for creativity. They look for initiative. They look for intellectual curiosity, and all of this are not that obvious from those numerical measures, right? You cannot tell anything about the skills I just mentioned from those, but they become transparent once students list their extracurricular activities and when they write the essays and describe themselves. So I'll let Ileana add up to sort of my list.
Oh, thank you very much, Dan. You touched the most important things in terms of skills. I would add to that successful, a strong application is one that's honest and it's strategically conceived. And I will talk more about how we present ourselves through the bits of writings that are required when you apply to a college or directly to a program. And that's another skill that students acquire during their high school or even extracurricular activities. And I would say that every single bit of information that you put in your application counts. Every word and every piece of writing, no matter how short or how long it is, they all provide another aspect of your personality, another achievement, another way of presenting your skills, as Dan mentioned before. I would also emphasize the fact that each piece, transcript, extracurricular activities, awards, or optional answers that some students choose not to answer. And that's not something that I encourage you to do. All these things are actually pieces, or just think of them as pieces in a puzzle. If in a puzzle, one piece is missing, your portrait is incomplete, because all pieces will in the end create your portrait, and that portrait is meant to show the readers of your application that you have the potential to become a successful student in that university, in that program to which you are applying. And more importantly, that will show that you have the capacity to grow and reach your potential. So writing is extremely important. And I will tell you something else. I read applications in which the personal essay was impeccable, but the short answers were written sloppily with typos, with disagreements. That was a red flag for me. So you had an editor for what you consider very important, and you didn't care much about the other answers. You have to pay equal attention to all your answers because they are read holistically. And holistically means that the emphasis goes to everything you provide us with. So then your answer to our holistic approach is to conceive your application strategically and answer all pieces as seriously as they are expected to be. So a powerful application is an application that creates an argument about yourself. You have a main idea, you have a red thread that puts together everything that's in that application. And I'll go back now to the fact that not many students choose to write an answer to the optional question, or there is something that because they are tired, and I understand that, choose not to take that opportunity. Let's imagine this scenario. In your transcript, the readers will see that you had not so successful semester at one point, or not a very successful or a more difficult year in your high school years. Take that opportunity and the optional answer, address that. Don't shy away from challenging, from the challenges of your education, because that will show the reader that you are aware where you had some difficulty. You overcame that obstacle because here we are, you have a pretty good GPA, and also that you learned a lesson. So you are self-aware, and that's precisely what universities and departments want to see, that you are strong enough to and self-reflexive enough to know which weaknesses you have, how you overcame them, and which strengths you have, and how you rely on them. I won't take much longer. I would say, though, that there are some questions and supplemental questions. Some universities ask, but not all of them, but some do. And they would ask the question why you want to become our student or a student in that department. Do research. That means go on their website, take notes, and be specific in your answer. So if there is a program, let's say computer science is at the UW, yeah, make notes and see who are the professors in whose classes I want to be. Put their names there. If that department or university has a club that you are interested in, mention that name, or the organization, students organization. All campuses offer a large range of such extracurricular activities, even during academic years. So make sure that you are specific when you write these answers. Another thing, put effort into writing your application, because as I said, a sloppy writing means several things for your readers. First of all, that you didn't pay enough attention, you did not consider important the application process. You felt like, I can do it. So that's not a great attitude for a potentially successful student. And my advice to you is, please rewrite, revise, and proofread. A typo for me is something that tells me that you haven't taken the time to reread your own application to see if it makes sense. Try to read your application with the eyes of your readers. And of course, avoid repetitions. You don't have enough space to present yourself as a complex human being. But make sure that you use all the opportunities without repeating yourself and providing as much as you can about you. As Dan said, be creative. And I would add to that, be clear in your writing. And I'm looking forward to your questions. But for now, that's my
Ileana,
answer.
I have a brief follow-up question to you because it really made me think about something. So obviously, what we're talking about is a very well thought out process. So there's got to be, there has to be a deliberate, conscious effort, which takes time for every one of these applications. So how long do you assume that children, because they're, you know, at the end of the day, they're young adults. So how long how much effort, or like how many, you know, days, weeks, whatever, months, like how long do you assume a single application will take? And what's a good number of universities to actually apply for, right? Because if I wanted to apply to 140 universities, obviously I'm going to be sloppy, right? But you're probably not going to apply to 2. So I'm sort of looking for a ballpark, advice. What do you see as, okay, well, if you spent 3 hours on your application, it's probably not good enough, right? So what's the length of time one should spend on one application, and what's the ballpark for how many applications they should write in general?
Very good question, Mihai, and thank you for raising this issue. There are 2 parts of my answer. First of all, if you have a passion and you know that's the career you want to pursue, and let's say you are in 10th grade, think strategically, enroll in AP classes toward that goal, toward that major, or toward that program. Do not overwhelm yourself with too many AP classes in one semester because you forgot to enroll in other. So take 2 each semester because they count a lot. However, if you attend a high school that doesn't offer AP classes or IB programs, the readers will know that. Try to compensate with other extracurricular activities to show that you are invested in learning in that field. join clubs or do something else that might compensate the absence of that AP class. So you can start as early as 9th grade with AP classes. They won't hurt you if you change your mind and you want to do something else when you are a senior. All AP classes are great assets. Now, in terms of the application itself, I would say you should start brainstorming what you are going to write in your personal essay, probably sometime towards the end of 11th grade. So during the summer, before you start the process of application, think of what's that event of your life that changed you, that meant something to you. What was that story that showed you that you have contributed to others, to your community, helping an underprivileged community, or you have an achievement, you participated in a national competition, and that was extremely rewarding to you. And see how you can put that major piece in connection to all the other pieces about which I talked earlier. So you can start as early as the beginning of your high school years in terms of enrolling in AP classes, and you start thinking about very seriously about writing the application as early as the second semester of your 11th grade. However, the writing per se, and I've seen that several times, becomes more clear in a way, makes more sense for them to put more effort when they start senior year. But Dan, if...
Yeah, no, I'll add a bit to this. So in terms of the number of applications, there is no unique answer, right? Every student is different, so there is no unique answer. But that decision is also a strategic decision, right? As Ileana said, it's better to have one excellent application. One excellent application is better than 3 sloppy applications. So don't think about the number, just think about, sending excellent applications. In terms of strategies, if you talk to your school counselors, they will tell you that it's fine to have a rich school, a dream school, but it also should think about some sort of target school, something where you are fairly certain that you'll get in, and also some safe schools where are very certain that you'll get in. So you'll have, a gradation of schools. You don't apply only to the top 5 universities in US. You also sort of consider, applications sort of that are less, to schools that are less selective.
I would say, as far as a parent, when my son applied to college, I worked with a counselor at the time. I didn't know much about this process. And after I had an interview with her and my son had another interview with her, exactly as Dan was saying, she chose 3 categories. And in the end, my son applied to 13 universities. There were the group of out of his reach, apparently, and he got into 2. Within his reach, and he got in most of them, and safe schools, and he got in all of them. But it was 13 applications. The advantage of applying to, let's say, 10 schools, I think 10 could be a reasonable number, is that, first of all, reshuffling your writing to provide answers to these 10 universities makes you think, what exactly I'm going to do for the next 4 years? You become extremely engaged in the process, and you put all the effort, and that effort will show in your writing, and that actually pushes you to be successful in your applications. Another aspect, if you apply to these 3 tier universities, let's put it that way, and some of them will offer you a scholarship, 20% off of your tuition. Some of them will say, just come to us. You can negotiate. If you, for example, my son was admitted in U of Chicago, an Ivy League school. We negotiated, but in the end, he went to George Washington in DC. It made more sense to him. But when a school invites you with a scholarship, you can negotiate with your dream school to offer you something. So it's like, you know, a job interview, actually. Someone is giving you more than some other. So don't exclude that negotiation process either. If you apply to only 2 universities, probably the chances to be offered scholarships are fewer than if you apply to 10.
Well, thank you, Ileana and Dan. That's wonderful, complex answers. I'm sure everybody's taking notes. What advice would you have for parents and students who are actually applying for colleges right now? Because I know they're in the middle. There are some of them who are, you know, trying to catch up the time, you know, maybe not all of them started thinking about it, you know, early on. Do you advise them to get a counselor? Do you advise them to get help writing the essay? So what would be the most like concrete and urgent, you know, advice that you would have for parents and students applying right now?
So, you know, I'm an academic. I've been around universities for 20 years. And when my older daughter went through this process, I realized that I know nothing about the admission process to college, right? It's very different than the world I live in. I know about admission process to graduate schools, but I knew nothing about college. So my advice is for parents is to be patient, right? It's very complicated, so it takes time. You know, you need to do your homework and learn about the process. And, you know, and I know you're doing that because you are present at this Zoom meeting, but also learn about schools. You know, one thing about the United States that's very different than Romania, for example, is that there are dozens and dozens and dozens of wonderful schools. And they are of different types. There are big schools and small schools, public schools and private schools. There are universities and liberal arts colleges. And, you know, trying to understand the differences and trying to sort of navigate this process and see what kind of school would fit best your child, you know, it takes time and patience and advice. And this is where talking to a counselor, we used extensively the school, you know, the admissions counselors at our daughter's school. We met with her several times and we asked questions and we tried to learn from it. That's very important. And also sort of trust your child. You know, your child knows what they want. You know, that might be different than what parents want, but it's their decision eventually, right? So trust them with, you know, choosing schools and going through the process and, you know, trust them that they're mature individuals that are ready to go to college.
Yeah, excellent answer, Dan. I don't have much to add, only to be supportive to your child throughout this difficult process. It's very stressful. And of course, work with high school counselors. There are some other possibilities you can pay, but for big money. A counselor from Benchmark. There are some other associations that provide help with the application process. And of course, not during the application process, but at the time, ask yourself, what kind of school, what kind of environment you see yourself for the next 4 years? Is it a big school? Would you do better in a big university? Is it that you want a smaller college? You feel like you need constant conversations with your professors or mentors? So think about the environment in which you are going to spend the next 4 years of your life, because it depends, your success as a student depends on the level of your well-being. I mean, truly, it comes to that.
Well, it definitely sounds like a lot of, like this is a big piece of homework for the parents. and very different from what we've learned in Romania 20 some years ago. I think we all appreciate your feedback. I'd like to take it next, if you'd allow me to something that is very dear to all of us, I believe, because we're all part of these nonprofit volunteering-based organizations. ARC's project has been instrumental in teaching me a lot of things about this process, and we've learned from ARCs and other organizations like ours, and you will see in the future. Volunteering is something that is very important. So both volunteering and extracurricular activities matter towards your score. How much does it matter, and when should you start paying attention to these activities?
So I think it varies from school to school, but at most schools, look at an application holistically, like Ileana said, right? And they try to understand who the applicant is, right? So, and volunteering and extracurricular activities helps, right? If you volunteer, then certain skills about yourself can stand out, right? It's commitment. Volunteering, it's commitment, right? Volunteering is also leadership. You take a leadership role by doing volunteering in a certain organization, and also about teamwork, right? On top of that, it shows, there is another skill that, schools like to talk about, which is social consciousness, right? So that's another skill that becomes evident through volunteering work, but it has to be sincere volunteering, right? You have to volunteer to an organization that you are passionate about. If you just do it because it's an item in your application, I think many admission counselors will see that. So, I think it's important to find your passion and volunteer for, for an organization that, where that's evident.
Something that you care about, something maybe related to the Romanian community. Come on, let's say it.
I mean, I think, for my daughters, the Romanian heritage was important, and they did all kinds of activities around that, and that was important for them, right? So if your Romanian heritage is important, then volunteering for a Romanian organization, should be the right thing to do.
I don't think this would be complete without letting Otilia say a couple of words about the Romanian-American National Heritage Award, 5th edition, that is coming up soon. And Otilia, some of these workshops are related. We're trying to promote this award. So how about you say a couple of words, who can apply, and why would it make a difference for an 11th grader or a 10th grader today?
Oh, thank you, Mihai. Sure, I'd love to say a few words. I also posted in the chat our website. This is the 5th edition, and we are honored to partner with Alianța in Washington, D.C., and this year with Romanian United Fund, because we are trying to spread out the word about how important volunteering is actually for college applications in America. We might us, parents having grown up in Romania under communism, and where volunteering work was not appreciated. On the contrary, actually, I think we are missing an important piece of this big puzzle that Ileana and Dan were talking about, showing that you care, that you commit, that you are a leader, that you value the civic society. Actually, it's very important. And also in that essay that you're supposed to write for college admissions, they will ask you about your roots. And how would you write about your roots if you haven't done any volunteering in your community, if you haven't, done anything like get the Global Seal of Biliteracy in Romanian, for example, to show that you know who you are. You have to show that you are a rounded individual, that you are the best candidate, because you are like the other ethnic groups, like the Mexicans, like the Chinese, the Russians that have tradition in volunteering, and they've been here longer than Romanians, and they know how to make the most of this. So their applications are stronger because of this, because the identity factor plays a role. So we encourage you, we still have a few days left, September 30th, but you can we'll probably, prolong it if you want to. So please write us if you have done something spectacular, like, or not, or just volunteered, for like you baked cookies and you raised money for a good cause, like Magic Camp, like the Romanian United Fund is organizing this, they have wonderful opportunities, for organizations in Romania. We work with youth too. I mean, they help us, prepare Romanian classes. They volunteer. We sign in Washington State. It is obligatory actually to have accomplished 40 hours of volunteering. And it's best, like Ileana said, to show that you were strategic about those hours, that they meant something for a future career and also for your identity, hybrid identity of Romanian-American at the same time. So please consider applying. If not, try next year. We also give money for it, if this if this will motivate you, an extra money for your college will be mostly welcome, so and you will be recognized at the Alianța Gala. The Romanian ambassador will sign the diploma. If you want to travel in Washington DC, it's a big reunion for Romanian organizations, so you will be the star of something that you deserve. So please consider applying or spread out the word.
Thank you so much, Otilia.
Just a second, because I want to add something to what Otilia was saying. This award will appear on your application under the awards and achievement part, and will put you in a completely different position, in a strategic position, will differentiate you tremendously from the other applicants in that bunch. I mean, it's not like many candidates are giving this kind of award or can present themselves at that level of importance of a national award. So do not disregard how you make a case for yourself, and providing that something that's different, that puts you in a different category from the rest of the thousands of applicants whose applications we read every year. And then some universities have a prompt asking you to describe how you have contributed to your community, because they want to see where you come from, which values you have, your families, and how you pertain, how you involve with that community. And as I said previously, diversity matters. By volunteering or by doing something Romanian shows that you will contribute to the diversity of the campus. Thank you, Mihai.
We can't hear you, Mihai. You're muted. So
sorry about that. Ileana, I just wanted to say this point was so important. I just realized that, this is actually a national award. So if you're looking at the entire Romanian-American community, this is the one national award that, actually recognizes your achievement, your background, your contribution to your community. So you obviously can't do this in 3 months. You can't just wake up at, you're, midway through senior grade, and now it's like, oh my God, I got to volunteer. So, well, when should we start? And Dan, go ahead, or whatever, Ileana, both of you, I think you both have great answers.
I think you start at the beginning of high school. We talked about what's important in application. And for example, the GPA is important in the application. And that means the grades you get in every grade are important. So that's why, you focus on school from the beginning of high school and try to get, the grades that will allow you to get into your dream college. But also sort of building all these extracurricular activities takes time. And that's why you have to start thinking about what your passions are early. A lot of students do those in the summer because it might be too busy during the year. And then you have some summers where you can do volunteering or, other extracurricular activities. And, I'm not saying it's very intense from the—
One piece is missing, your poor high school years. Take that up.
sorry. I don't know what happened.
Maybe there was a question.
Yes, there was a question, but from Facebook. So there was a little bit of interference because I was trying to answer that. I don't know if Dea can monitor the chat.
I would love to continue and on this exact topic with Ileana. And I'm going to give you a case in point. And I'd love to hear from somebody who's been on the opposite side, like on the other side and evaluating these applications. I've actually spoken, I was speaking with a Romanian-American young adult, young guy, and he was very passionate about doing something in the Romanian community. In fact, he was thinking about introducing the Romanian language into his high school and getting it recognized at the state level. And this was a subject that was very dear to me, and I thought he personally was very passionate about it. And at some point, the decision was made. Sort of, they looked at all their commitments, and they said, "Well, I have a straight A. I have straight A's, and this is extremely important to me to keep my straight A's. And I'm signed up in 5 clubs because this shows my commitment." So if you were to choose between, having straight, obviously, sure, keep the straight A's, but if you were to choose between 5 clubs and actually getting this award, what would you say, Ileana? Where would you rank this?
So I think getting the award is extremely important. If you think in these terms, 5 clubs are fine, straight A's are fine. You have to know yourself how much time and effort you can put in all these 3 activities. And that's a very good question about having straight A's. As I said, the applications are read holistically. You may have 3.7 and still, or 3.6 and still get into an Ivy League school, because they do not only say, or their criteria is not only relying on only straight A's. No. Again, the GPA, as long as is completed and with the other activities, it's wonderful. And if you can make that case, as I said before, that's wonderful. I'm not saying that you should not have straight A's. It's wonderful to have straight A's. What I'm saying is that I've seen students with lower GPAs getting into, as I said, Ivy Leagues, very competitive programs, because they made a wonderful case for themselves. And to make a case for yourself means to participate in clubs, to have awards, to show commitment, as Dan was saying, leadership and all the other skills. Because if you are focused, let's imagine this scenario. If you are focused only on getting the highest grade, you miss a lot of opportunities. So yeah, you probably show that you can become a researcher, probably. But these universities want to see what you do in your spare time, how communicative you are, how good of a peer you can be in that community, because you are always part of a community. None of us can live and survive as an individual who is reading and reading in a library by himself or by herself. I'm not sure if I'm answering your question, but
I think the question was more like, okay, is it how about like 4 clubs and an award versus 5 clubs, and are all clubs created equal? I think this was another question that I had. From the opposite side, what are you looking at? Is a chess club the same as a debate club? I mean, how do you look at them?
What I would say is to have some consistency. So you do not attend the chess club for 1 semester and then the band club 1 semester and then the varsity sports 1 semester. No, because you are everywhere and nowhere. Be consistent with something that you are passionate about and show that for 2 years or 3 years you attended that. Let's say you apply for poli-sci. then you are part of the club, global strategies, whatever. That shows that it's connected to your passion for poli-sci. And then you can add the other 3 clubs for a year, or but don't jump from one to another. Or if you have done that, take the opportunity and put an explanation in the additional answer. Oh, to find my path, I had experimented with blah, blah, blah. And then it will give me a reason why you jumped from one club to another to another.
And I fully agree with Ileana. Consistency shows commitment to your passions, and that's very important.
Thank you, everyone. Yeah, if you don't want
I was going to point
anything,
if you could read the question.
Yeah, so we do have questions from Facebook. Sorry for the interference. I was trying to to copy it in the chat. So we have a question from Adriana Cordali from Facebook. What do the panelists think of starting at the community level college?
So maybe I'll start with a clarification. This is something I didn't know before I went through the process, and maybe some of the parents do not know, but it is possible to transfer from one institution to another, right? And there is there are students who choose to go to a certain university, and then they discover that not successful or happy to that university and transfer in the second year. It means that the students go through another application process. So I'm not recommending this, but I'm saying it's possible. So I think this question maybe implies, what do we think about starting at a community college and then transferring to another university? And I know of very many successful students, and I know of very successful academics who have done that. There is only one downside that I see into that process, is that by transferring, you change the community. So all the friends that you make in the first or second year at one institution, you'll have to make new friends and build a new network, a new community at another institution. So that's a bit of a downside, but I think I've seen so many successful cases that I think that's a great question.
I would add to what Dan just said, the fact there are 2 kinds of transfers. It's the first kind from one university to another university, and that's extremely difficult. And you have to make an extremely powerful, impactful case for yourself why you need to move from that university to that university. And years ago, I wrote a letter of recommendation for one such student who wanted to transfer to Cornell. And I know what he went through. It was more difficult than the first application, but he was successful. I also wrote a letter of recommendation for another student who didn't get into the university to where he wanted to transfer. The second part, to transfer from a community college to a university, it's easier. And that's because, for example, state universities like University of Washington has a quota for such transfers from community colleges from Bellevue, Seattle, from our state. So yes, and that's because these universities give opportunity to students not to pay tuition so much, because if you pay tuition at the UW for 4 years, it's more than if you start in a community college with a smaller tuition fee, and then you transferred to graduate the university. So it's also a financial issue, but it's easier to transfer from a college community college within the same state to the university where you want to transfer. And I'm very happy that we are joined by Diana Barbu, a specialist in finances and higher education, who will, and Otilia will announce at the end of our meeting today that she would like to talk to you about how to deal with finances. But that's another aspect that probably Diana Barbu will address.
Yeah, so talking about Diana Barbu, I would like for a little bit more time for questions from the audience, and then we can announce her workshop that will be applied. She wrote the books about it. Now she's working on her second book on college admission. And she will be our next, we will continue the series, and I know Romanian United Fund will be on board with us. It was just like a little bit, you know, the last minute thing, but we will announce it and we'll keep on going. And so this will be another workshop in October, and then we'll have a second workshop about what happens when you get the admission letter. What do you choose exactly? How you make that tough choice, and how you negotiate with the universities, you know? So this will be, the second workshop will be in April, but we'll keep you posted, and Diana will be able to say a few words at the end of the workshop. We do have another question now from Maria Tapenaru. One person essay is sufficient for all the colleges a student applies to?
So there is this general application platform. And of course, for that platform, one personal essay is enough. However, there are many universities that ask the applicants to write other essays, sometimes even longer essay than the personal essay required by the general application platform. Such prompts can be extremely challenging. And I'll give you one example, because I was very stressed out when my son told me that he wants to apply to the University of Chicago. And their 2 extra essays were much longer than the personal essay. And one of the prompts sounded something like, imagine that you place 3 abstract concepts in the accelerator in Chicago. What will get out of that accelerator from those 3 concepts that you are feeding the accelerator with? My God, it was... For months, we thought of that question and how to answer it. In the end, my son came up with a very creative answer, and he got it. So depends on which university you apply to.
It sounds like a torture mechanism the universities apply to parents rather than anything else. That's a great question. I'm gonna have to go to sleep with it. I'm actually in Romania right now, but you guys have given me so much food for thought. Otilia, what do we have left in our list, or should we turn it to our guests for questions?
If you have any other questions, you know, please free to ask. If not, I'm posting the link to the workshop we were telling you about. And then Diana, if you want to put on your video and tell us more about, you know, this opportunity on October 16th to go into even deeper than our wonderful guests went to today. Hi, Diana. You're muted.
Hi, everyone. It's so wonderful to get to meet you all. I'm super excited about the October 16th webinar. So basically, I've been working in higher education administration for more than 12 years. I have a PhD in higher education administration. And I wrote a book about financial aid and what to make of it. So basically how to understand it and how to make sense of it, and then ask for more money, as Ileana was pointing about the negotiation side of things. And then right now I'm working on another book on college admissions, and the main focus of this college admissions book, it's going to be discussed on October 16th. So join us on October 16th, and we're going to talk about some of the questions that we touched on today, like how to create the list of colleges, how many, how much time you need, you know, the community college kind of transfer process to university, and the pros and cons to it. And then this is going to be the first seminar or the first webinar in a series of 2, because now we're going to talk about how to apply, but then in April, we're going to talk about, now that universities got you in, right, accepted you, and kind of are giving you the financial aid letter options and everything else. How do you look at them? How do you understand them and everything else? So I'm super excited to join you, and thank you so much for having me. This is super nice.
This is a great segue into our next topic then. I really love this. Otilia, you had a great idea.
Well, Diana was graceful to contact us, and we had a talk with her, with Ileana. So we decided, oh my God, this is such a wonderful opportunity for the community to contribute, to this series of workshop. Because, like we said at the beginning, we really need to help each other. We need to help our kids, because we cannot, as parents growing up in Romania, we cannot provide with the best, solutions. We need to learn the hard way. But we are a community, a national community right now, thanks to the work that we do at these community organizations. So we're very happy that people are reaching out to us and want to help. So please do, if you have other ideas about how to help, the Romanian-American youth, in this process, we can continue the series, we can promote your work. If you publish, like Diana Barbu, if you publish books on the topic, if you are helping, like Ileana was helping for years, we're helping the Romanian-American youth in Washington State, to go to build up a successful application. So we are here to channel, all these wonderful efforts. Thank you.
Otilia, one last thing, because there was that question about essays. You can buy books about how to write college essays successful with samples. I have one published by the Princeton Review, but there are several. And any such material, college essays that made a difference, could be a good start to see, because they will tell you to which university that essay was successful. And also you will see the prompts and how successful applicants wrote in response to those prompts. So go online and search for college application, and Princeton Review is a very good start. There are many others. So many other universities publish such materials.
Is that a book?
Would you put the title in the chat, Ileana? We can't see it.
Let's see if we can make out of a.
Would you put the title? Yeah.
It says college essays.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you search,
just give me more work.
Yeah.
Okay.
So is that for parents or for the kids?
For both.
So it's Princeton.
Princeton Review, but as I said, there are many other reviews who publish such collections of successful essays, and every year they not every year, but from time to time they will publish another edition, so a more updated edition.
Dan, do you have a recommendation, like a title that you could type in the chat for our audience?
I do not, but I do not. I'm sorry.
No worries. I kind of put you on the spot.
We're going to revisit the question during our next.
Yes, we will, because
webinar.
our guest is writing about it, so she'll know. I'm sure she'll provide us with a set of tools. Yeah.
Well, I think the biggest round of applause should go to Otilia for making this possible, putting it together. And we're going to put it all online, so you can review these videos. I'm looking forward to actually getting the recording. I know I have a lot of friends who, it was Saturday and they were not really ready to sort of commit this, time, like when they're probably having lunch or going out boating, but we're going to make it available for you. So thank you, Otilia, and an amazing job.
Yeah, thank you, Mihai. No, it's a collaboration effort, and thank you to Ileana and Dan for accepting, the invitation to talk about it, and for all their work. Especially Ileana, I'm very grateful, and I think the entire community in Washington State who went, who sent their kids to her is really happy now to have her, share this expertise. So
I think I'm going to get a lot of requests for Dan's and Ileana's phone numbers now.
I know.
You've just opened the Pandora's box. Thank you so much, everyone.
Yeah. So thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day, and stay tuned for October 16th with Diana Barbu. And don't forget to apply, to the Romanian-American Heritage Award. Yeah.
We got one last question. Where do we get the link for the recording? We're going to be posting it on Facebook on ARC's and RUF's Facebook pages.
It will stay on Facebook because we went live, but we will also post them on our YouTube channels, so you'll be able to access it there too. But this recording, because it was live streamed, will stay on Facebook. So you can go back and watch it. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. So bye. Thank you everyone for your wonderful questions. Bye.
Bye. Bye.